Just when I think that on social issues the Republican Party can't go any farther off the cliff, y'all find a new way to do it. We have seen on Tuesday and today the war on women in Wisconsin. A number of bills that go directly towards how we treat women and their decisions in comprehensive health care. But in the last couple days nationally, this war has gotten even crazier. A bill was introduced in Arizona to allow an employer to fire a woman who uses birth control. And today, the Republican governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Corbett, was asked about the very intrusive transvaginal ultrasounds, and his comment was, "You just have to close your eyes." You just have to close your eyes, was the comment from the Republican governor of Pennsylvania. Now, I don't know if y'all know, but women vote. 1920, we did that in this country. Now, I understand, in Kuwait it was 2005, and in Bahrain it was 2001, but we live in the United States here, folks, and we've allowed women to vote since 1920. And this sort of unbelievably regressive thinking is an assault to literally every forward-minded person in Wisconsin. Just 4 years ago Tuesday, Mr. Speaker, we passed the anniversary of when this body, when the governor signed the Compassionate Care for Rape Victims bill, a bill that mandated information about and access to emergency contraceptives in every hospital in Wisconsin. And it was a bill I was very proud to work on for about 8 years, and I worked on it with former Representative Terry Musser from your side of the aisle. And that's when we still could do reasonable things, Mr. Speaker. But for some reason, your party has taken a back to the future approach and decided to go back to pre-1920, it appears, because you don't think women matter. Now, at first, I thought this was a gender thing. Maybe it's the men against the women. But, that doesn't make any sense, because on this side of the aisle, you've got men and women standing up against these regressive measures. And on your side of the aisle, this bill, for example, is introduced by 2 Republican women. So it's definitely not a gender thing. It's not the men against the women. It's not the goose and the gander. But this is about thinking, and of what century our thinking comes from, and what we think about women. Are women truly equal and independent? Or is it about servitude and not being able to make decisions for themselves? Because I find it insulting to women and men to have this sort of legislation that does not provide for equal treatment and equal access and equal opinions about someone's health care. It just doesn't make sense. But since people on your side of the aisle seem to have absolutely no faith in women on making decisions when it comes to reproductive health, I have a substitute here that's going to let you also provide that same mandated opinion on men's reproductive health, Mr. Speaker. I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So let's have a little bit of equality, and this sub will provide for that very equality. There are a lot of things that people probably don't know about Viagra. And I have got a whole bunch of information here. And if you're worried about a woman being able to make her own decisions about her reproductive health, well, you should be frightened by what a man is able to do right now without your intrusive thinking. So let me offer a little bit of the side effects, if I can, according to some medical documentation about Viagra. I'd ask unanimous consent to read from a printed document, Mr. Speaker.
Without objection, just let you know you're at 5 minutes.
Thank you. I'll probably try to keep it to another 5. Thank you. Headaches. All right, not the worst, but it's a headache. Stuffy nose. Okay, that's a cold. Dizziness. All right, that's getting a little worse. Diarrhea. Ugh. Blurred vision. Vomiting. Hypertension. That's a real problem for men, Mr. Speaker. Gastritis. I don't even know what it is, but it sounds really bad. Sudden decrease or loss of hearing. Seizures. Depression. Strange dreams. Numbness. Migraines. Mr. Speaker, pain in the chest. Pain in the chest. Loss of consciousness. Abnormal heart rhythms. And you know what? It goes on and on. Gout. Gout. So, I'm far less worried about a woman trying to make her own decisions about her reproductive health, because I am part of the century that we live in where we acknowledge that women are able to make these choices. But since we're going to go back a century or so with where your party wants to go, well, then let's at least have the parity, Mr. Speaker. So I think what's fair is if a man is going in and has some erectile dysfunction issues, I think in my 14 years, that's the first time I got a chance to say erectile dysfunction on the floor of the legislature. Now that they can go and go see a physician, and they will have to give consent in front of a third party. Because, clearly that's what's required of a woman making decisions. So I think if you want the little blue pill, you should make sure that someone who can tell you what color it is can be there to verify, I guess. 24 hours. We need a little waiting period so we know what's going on. Because, really, I want people to read through that list. And unless you want potential pain in the chest, you should know what's going on. So that's just pure parity. I think we have a video in here. Because, if you saw all those symptoms in a video, I would think someone's dying. But you should know that's what you're getting into. Because if you want to, Mr. Speaker, if the Republican Party wants to get that involved in every single person's life to the point that they're going to get involved as this bill is, well, let's make sure we have parity and equality, and let's make sure we protect the men in this state as much as you're going to be so paternalistically protecting the women. So I want to make sure that my friend from the 63rd doesn't ever have to go through this terrible list. I'm not saying that you're going to, but I want to make sure, Mr. Speaker, that my good friend from the 63rd, and he is a good friend, never has to go through this without having a third party in the room to make sure that he wants to do this. And that he gets to see a video so he doesn't jump into anything without knowing what he's getting into. I want to make sure he is making an informed decision, because as we know, people don't have any knowledge about their own bodies and their reproductive choices, because we wouldn't have bills like this unless we thought people in Wisconsin were plain idiots. Because that's clearly what this bill is about. We don't trust the people of Wisconsin to make a decision with their doctor about their own health care. So here we are. Let's go ahead and take that path together. That's what this sub will do. So I rise to raise this issue. It's an issue of growing concern to a lot of people in the state of Wisconsin. And I hope that we can take it with the full respect and seriousness that it needs, Mr. Speaker. I do hope that you will vote to do this so we can have true equality. I think this is necessary because let's face it, all in your family, you have daughters, you have sisters, you have nieces, and I guarantee you all have mothers. And if you don't, I'd like to hear the story. Let's have a little respect. This bill does not respect over half of the population of the state. So let's go ahead and disrespect everyone equally. And I think this sub will allow us to do that. And I hope that you will never have to go, Mr. Speaker, through this set of symptoms without having that extra advice, that waiting period, that video to make that decision, because I know, I can tell from the look on your face, you're not able to do it without that extra assistance. So please do not table the sub, and let's make sure that we understand just how silly it is to not trust half of the population of our state.
I can assure the gentleman that the pain in the chest sounds a lot better than some of the pains caused by this room.